episode 1, Super Bowl Hangover Edition. I am your host, Shaney Dunn, and to start off, I'll be with my co-host, Wyatt Lardieri, to talk about the Super Bowl. But if you're not familiar with what the morning after is, it is a morning after show after something happened the night before or even in the middle of the night, some type of breaking news or something that we have to recap that you could have missed. The entire premise of the show is there's no schedule to it, there's no time restraints, there's no amount of guests. It's all random all the time, and that's the best part about it. It's whenever the news happens. So Wyatt, we just saw Super Bowl 57 end a few hours ago, and it was a hell of a game. How are you feeling about the game in general?
Yeah, I definitely think it was one of the best Super Bowls we've seen recently. I think that there was a lot of action going on, really high scoring, which is very entertaining. And I think that there were some questionable calls at the end. I think we got to dive into that right away.
Easily. I mean, it's kind of funny. Right when the coin toss happened, I showed my friend's father the picture of the referee. I think his last name is Chathers. But the head referee, and I already had something from the AFC Championship of him in a Chiefs referee jersey. Like, I knew it was going to come down to him. And when it happened, I was just looking at the TV, and I didn't even react. I was like, this is what these playoffs have brought, and it's very funny because on Twitter and everywhere they've been saying the refs have never been better up to this point in NFL history. NFL said this. And then they blow like the biggest moment of the biggest game. That game probably would have went to overtime.
Yeah, and you're already starting to see people on Twitter all saying it's scripted and, you know, the refs are rigging the game and stuff like that. And they're never going to stop talking about that. And you know how loud Eagles fans can be, so that'll be interesting.
They are. You know, I was in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy I'm not there right now. They are a loud, rambunctious group of people, very loving. But, I mean, we watched beers get thrown. We saw 49ers fans get spit on. I mean, they're a rough crowd, but when they love you, they love you.
I think the nice way to say it is they're passionate.
Yeah, I will give them this. I would say my favorite fan base in the NFL is probably the Bills, just because they're crazy. But besides that, it's definitely Philly. I mean, there's not a fan base like it in sports. There's not a parking lot scheme like it in sports. Philadelphia, big shout out that you put all 3 parking lots within a mile of each other and all 3 of your venues within a mile of each other. And what looks to be one of the best sports bar in the country. If you put a sports bar in the middle of 3 parking lots for sporting venues, there's no way it's not incredible.
Yeah, no, they definitely got the layout of the stadiums going well for them. That I do always love seeing the game in Philadelphia.
Speaking of Philadelphia, I want to hop into some of their stats first. So Russell, in what was probably his last video ever, predicted that Jalen wasn't going to do it through the air. And, I mean, tied for the most rushing touchdowns by any player, running back, quarterback, does not matter, in the Super Bowl. That's just like, and he threw one as well. He had 4 total touchdowns. Jalen Hurts gave it everything he had. And it sucked to see it end that way. I like that Patrick Mahomes won, because he would have been 1-2, and I didn't want to even have that conversation of is Patrick Mahomes good enough. So this could be the Jalen Hurts, redemption arc. Mahomes started off winning one, but Mahomes lost one too. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this year, like, Hurts became a star. You saw him go from people already starting to cast him off to just stepping his game up, being a leader, finding ways to win. Like, this season, he absolutely was. It was absolutely his coming out party, and I think he had a great game on the highest stage. But I just think that they just fell a little bit short.
A great, gritty rushing quarterback, not afraid to take a hit. Not something you see a lot nowadays, but it definitely suits him. Now, I want to get into something that might be a little bit of a sore subject for you. You guys traded Kadarius Toney this year. He hit that big hamstring, fake injury, touchdown celebration. And then he has 1 catch, 5-yard touchdown against your division rival, and as well in the Super Bowl. How does that make you feel?
Kadarius is a guy that I feel like every Giants fan really wanted to work out because of how like just electric he is as a player. And then for obvious reasons, you can blame both parties for that. It didn't work out. And it's kind of a sad Giants story, but I think that, he was here for such a short amount of time. No Giants fan really blames him. It was more of just a bad draft pick. So, I mean, all the best to Kadarius, congrats, obviously. He had a great performance with the touchdown. He didn't really do much else other than that, but he had a great touchdown.
So, this very high and mighty defense of Philadelphia just I was seeing the quarterback pressure a lot of the time, but they weren't really anywhere to be seen. No sacks on the day. I feel like that's really where they lost this game. How do you feel about how Philadelphia's defense performed tonight?
I think that KC just had a really, really good game plan coming into the game. They knew that Philly plays a 5-high show. They knew that Philly likes to send a lot of pressure and drop a lot of guys back. They passed underneath all of the secondary, and they passed quick enough to avoid the pressure. They had a good game plan. They worked the ball around. They got it to a lot of different guys, and they just wore out the Philly defense. They found the soft spot in the middle of the field between the secondary and the D-line. But yeah, no, that's why you saw Mahomes. He didn't have a ton of passing yards, but his completion percentage was so good.
77%, man. 180 yards, 182 yards, not that much, but 3 passing touchdowns. Super Bowl MVP, the 3 passing touchdowns had to give it to him, but, we knew Patrick Mahomes, if he won the Super Bowl, was probably walking out of there. You shouldn't expect any less. By far, Patrick's best Super Bowl performance, those first 2 Super Bowls, played, honestly, very shaky. Had awful stats in both of them, honestly. But, this game, playing with an injury, did very well, in my opinion, and deserved it. But let's talk about, and I know you go to Montclair, I know you don't care about Rutgers at all, but let's talk about the Rutgers alumni, Isaiah Pacheco. I talked about it 3 weeks ago with you. I told you he could have won Super Bowl MVP, and he honestly had the game for it. What are you thinking about this? Led the playoffs in rushing yards as a rookie.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game. And he's always been a guy that's underrated. He's always played behind guys that seemingly have more talent. But he's just quietly gone about his business. He's quietly done what he's needed to do. And he's quietly dominated. And you could really, really see it tonight how much talent he has. And, love seeing a Jersey boy succeed. All right, Shane, I have a question for you.
What's good?
What did you think of the halftime show?
I did say this in the middle of it, and I quote, "We should book Rihanna every year for the Super Bowl halftime show."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer in that. The petition will be in the description down below. But, Rihanna, I think everyone could tell she was pregnant, but it only got announced minutes after. Not sure what that was all about, but yeah. But Rihanna, she killed it. And people are saying it's the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. I want to remind everybody of some of the earlier ones, such as only when marching bands would perform during the Super Bowl in the 60s and early 70s, or when Kids on the Block was the Super Bowl halftime show in the 80s or 90s. Yeah, there's been a lot worse. One thing I want to mention, speaking about some musical stuff with the Super Bowl, that national anthem was bone-chilling.
Yeah, that was an amazing national anthem.
I'm going to say this, and I am not a country fan by any means. Every year has to be a country national anthem. Has to be a country singer.
That really was just an insane national anthem.
I very rarely, through a TV screen, feel patriotic and get emotional. But, damn. Dude, chills. Better than the halftime show.
Seeing Nick Sirianni just absolutely bawling his eyes out to it, that was just a powerful moment.
That was beautiful. So, one thing that I feel like everyone kind of forgot about, like, I remember last year, right as the game was going, everyone was checking it the entire time. I feel like a lot of prop bets didn't get talked about enough. The coin toss was tails. What were you going in thinking the Gatorade color was?
I was going yellow. I chose lemon and lime.
That's, it's a good pick. And I like to say I'm a little bit of a prophet when it comes to sports, and you can check all of these out. I predicted Tom Brady to Tampa Bay before he was even confirmed to leave the Patriots. I predicted Lamar Jackson would definitely turn out. I can do this all day. I predicted a lot of things. And maybe it's not a prediction because I always guess the same color every year, but I've gone with purple since 2017. Every single year. Me and my dad have always bet that. And it finally was purple. Finally.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the odds this year, but I don't think purple was very high.
It's never high. That's why I always picked it, because I was like, one year they're going to do purple. And they did it. Wyatt, do you know what the date is today?
It is the 13th of February.
And can you tell me what happened on the 13th of February about, let me see, 19 years ago?
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Wyatt. This is coming out in the morning. The first kid that I wanted by my side in this entire thing. I mean, I'm really happy that we get to do this stuff together, and I'm really happy you're succeeding at Montclair. I just wanted to shout you out. Happy birthday, man. Enjoy it. I know we're up at 1:17 in the morning talking about the Super Bowl, but I promise you, one day this might work out.
You know what? I'm glad to be here. Broncos country.
That's right. Thank you so much, Wyatt, for being on the first episode of The Morning After. I guarantee you're going to be on a lot more of them come with the rest of the NBA season and baseball season coming up and everything with that. But Wyatt, you have a great day. If you're watching this right now, go wish Wyatt Lardieri a happy birthday. What are you doing? Click off this video. Thanks so much again, Wyatt. Next up, right after the game, it is currently 10:31 p.m. as of recording. We have resident Eagles fan of Benchwarmer Banter, Jacob Pepper. Jacob, you're down in Purdue right now. You're in Indiana, but I know you were watching the game, and I know you were excited for it. Just tell me how it feels to lose the Super Bowl.
It hurts a lot. This is my first Super Bowl loss, and it hurts even more going into the game, just super confident. This is going to hurt for a while, especially off the back of the Phillies losing the World Series as well. So,
is there any chance, they come back next year? Do you think they can do it? Or do you think they were kind of catching lightning in a bottle this year?
I think it's possible. I think we're going to have a whole new look to our team next year just because, depending on who we extend contracts with, who we don't. It's looking like we're going to let a lot of our guys go. I think it really just depends on trades we're able to make, but I'm not too sure. Nothing like this season, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for being a part of the first episode of The Morning After. All of Jacob's socials will be down below. He makes videos just like everybody else. Jacob, just anything to end it for Eagles fans for this segment?
Go Birds. We will be back. I don't know when, but go Birds.
And now with our NBA segment, I'm here with Dash, a.k.a. Keller Gentry of Benchwarmer Banter. Keller, how you feeling after the Super Bowl? I mean, I know we're about to talk about hoops, but what'd you think of that game?
I thought it was pretty crazy. The Eagles were pretty intense during the entire game. The defensive line was getting after Mahomes. But honestly, what was crazy about that game the most was that Kelsey really took over. That combination between Mahomes and Kelsey was really just something that had been there all year. It was probably the biggest reason why Mahomes won his MVP this season. And honestly, I don't think the Eagles had an answer for that. It was just they scored 38 points. And what a shitty way to end the game. There was 20 seconds left. Kick the field goal.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Um, it was cool back when like Vinatieri was kicking game winners in Super Bowls because there was a second left and that was the absolute like, last
Exactly.
play. That just yeah, I'll agree with you on that. But speaking of something crazy, last week we watched possibly something that will never happen again, but probably not in the next 20 years. But we're going to get into some players that could do it. LeBron James broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, which was huge. I mean, we were all watching it. We were all texting, freaking out about it. I mean, do you think, before we get into some players that could possibly do it, do you think realistically it'll be caught before we're in our 50s?
I mean, it's definitely possible. Guys like Giannis, guys like Kevin Durant, they could definitely be able to touch that. But LeBron, I think, has cemented himself as the greatest basketball player of all time by passing up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He broke the all-time scoring record. I mean, that is, yeah, obviously the 100 points in a game, the 48 and a half minutes a game by Wilt and stuff, never be touched. But
Exactly.
the most untouchable record that could be broken was that one. And you mentioned Kevin Durant, and I just want to go on about this. Here's why Kevin Durant will never break even Kareem's scoring record. So KD currently has 26,000 points, and he would have to play another about 6 or 7 seasons at this pace to catch Kareem. Now, he's already had a very serious Achilles injury. He's probably not going to play another 7 years at this pace. If KD actually plays into his 40s, maybe. But catching LeBron is even less likely. I just think KD might end top 5 if he really has another couple great seasons. Another 2 players to potentially break this insane record that are active. I'm just looking at the top ones at this point. Harden and Russell have 24,000 points each, but I mean, they would have to. The only one I could see doing it is Harden. I could honestly see Harden playing till 40. His game isn't the craziest athletically. Russell, he's going to be out of the league in 2-3 years. But Harden could realistically, play a couple more years. Catching Kareem, not even, won't even come close.
I'd say there's a few different guys that would be able to pass up LeBron James right now all the time. Luka Doncic is averaging 27 points per game over the first 5 years of his career. He needs to do this for 14 years to catch Kareem.
But with the 27 a game, 14 seasons, I do think Luka will at least be top 10 in scoring, barring any insane injury or bad luck in his career. If he can continue at this pace, and especially with Kyrie added to that team, I really think
that Mavericks offense is scary now.
Yeah, their first game together, they break the record, they set the record this season for most points and a half. Like, that's crazy. So I think Luka, if he catches Kareem, it'll be the craziest thing anyone's seen. If he catches
crazy thing about that trade is I'd say the Mavericks are definitely one of the best teams in the Western Conference now. Like, they're no joke. Problem is they just can't play. They can't play defense. Kyrie doesn't really provide anything on that side of the floor, and then that's why I really like the Suns, because the Suns have DeAndre Ayton, and then now they have Kevin Durant, who can play defense at this point in his career, and also when Devin Booker comes back healthy, he'll be great on the offensive end along with Kevin Durant. Also, they'll be able to play great defensive.
I think we're kind of going to be in agreement about this. I want to hear your take first, kind of quick. Who do you think? Who's winning MVP this year?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would typically say Giannis. Giannis, the Greek Freak, is one of the best players in the league. He is the best player in the league, obviously. Don't let me rephrase. He is the best player in the league. It would be my dream scenario to see who could win MVP. I would have to say Damian Lillard, just because he's been so loyal.
Yeah, and we even made a video about that Dame win MVP. Not that this is probably his last year to even potentially do it. The only way I would give Damian Lillard MVP is if he was averaging over 30 points a game and got his team into the 4 seed, because Honestly, my pick for MVP, I thought we were going to agree here, but it's all good. Nikola Jokic, 3-time MVP, the only guy to do it since Larry Bird. I mean, his numbers, like, it's not even just because his numbers are insane. If he was playing with Heat LeBron and, youngest MVP Derrick Rose, Kevin Durant MVP, if he was playing in that generation of MVPs, he wouldn't win 3 in a row. But with the current standing of competition, it's easily his. One guy I really want to mention, though, and this is on Basketball Reference, I'm getting this one from. Last week, he was ranked 6th in the MVP rankings. Sacramento Kings power forward Domantas Sabonis.
He's having a great year this year. The Kings are actually looking great this season. They're looking like one of the better teams in the West, and that's surprising me because the Kings haven't been a team that we've looked at in a long time to be, competitive. Do you think that Kevin Durant will retire with the Suns?
It's a tough one. I mean, the guy's 34. We're talking about a 34-year-old man. He's been in the league for 15 years. He was drafted in 08, 09, somewhere in there, by the Seattle Supersonics. We brought up how many points he's averaging before, but he's 34. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he's with the Suns contract-wise for the next 4 seasons. Unless he really ring chases or he diminishes that bad in his last couple of years that he has to be traded, I think Phoenix is where Kevin Durant ends up retiring. Unless the only other option is if he goes and plays with Washington in his last season. But besides that, Kevin Durant will retire in Phoenix. What do you think, though? Do you think Kevin Durant is going to retire a member of the Phoenix Suns?
The Suns roster right now is very good. They just made it to the NBA Finals 2 seasons ago. They've been looking good for the past while now. They've never been able to win a championship is the thing. The Suns have never been able to win all 4 games of series against the team that they're facing off against in the playoffs. And I think that Kevin Durant is the kind of player that you want to go out and get when your team is looking to win a championship. But if Kevin Durant retires a Phoenix Sun, I think it'll definitely be a great ending to his career.
Well, Keller, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on for the NBA section. A lot of season left. We got the playoffs coming up, and I doubt this is going to be your last time talking about the NBA on the morning after. But anything you want to say to the fans for the first episode?
Just make sure to check out Banter. We got a lot of content coming up soon. A lot of videos coming your way. So just make sure to follow in.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 1 of the morning after. It was a pleasure to do this, and we're going to be doing this more with breaking news coming ahead in the sports world in the next couple of months. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't checked out our socials, they're in the description below. And everybody have a great rest of your day, and have a good Super Bowl hangover. Peace out.